Okay, so for your project work, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take, like, because in attendance, you got introduced to doing the research, how to create a README, do some markdown. In the colon, you got introduced to how to actually create and your basic HTML. So in this case, for your project, you're going to have a set of instruction that basically is going to see how well you translated everything you learned. So I'm not going to go over it in great detail, but I'm going to skim it to give you an idea because this is your first one. So the first thing I would tell you is for project work, you're going to use the same directory in your private repo for the entire semester until at some point later I actually have you move that into your public so that you can share it out. But for now, it's only going to be in your private repo. So as an example, I just finished doing the video for week 2 attendance, okay? And so in my VS Code, which I'm going to go over here now, I just walked you through how to create this. Now for you, in this case, that's the only file you should have in here now. So when you're doing the project work, you do not need to create a new folder like you do with the code longs. You're just going to create work inside of here. Okay, so I just want you to know that going in so that you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do week 2. I got to create another folder. That's only for your code along. And that's because I want you to be able to see as you build and go back and refer to the progression that you've made. But this is going to be one folder you use over time. Okay, so let's look at the instruction file here. And the other thing is your content for the colongs on Canvas and your project work will look similar, but what you're doing is different. So let me bring up this week 2. So you're going to go do what's called a semantic skeleton. Okay, so it's basically what you learned with Kevin about how to create a page structure using HTML. So in this case, that's what I just showed you with opening up your project, right? So I've already created this. You're just opening in your private repo your project folder. Okay. And then in this case, you can go ahead and run live server if you'd like, right? So if I was to come over here and do live server, I could, but there's no files for you. As a matter of fact, what's kind of interesting is if you do run live server right now, because you would have no other files, it would actually show your README file, but you're going to create a file in a minute. Okay, so, and this was what it shows you, right? So for you, you should only see the README file. So again, what I'm going to do is scan this. What you want to do is read this in detail. Okay, so here's the rules. Here's the only HTML elements you can use. Don't use images, don't use CSS. Open your README file as you work through this because that's when you're going to use that in your documents. Okay, so how do I grade this work? And that's something that you kind of are seeing now is commits and code is most of how I grade. Now you do have to give me the right URL here, which is your commit history for your project folder. Okay, I've shown that already. But in this case, what you're about to see is you'll do this work. So for phase 1, you're going to create an index.html, manually construct the HTML boilerplate. Don't use this. If you know that, don't use it yet. We'll learn this later. Now, by the way, I will know if you did use it, so just don't. So then declare, just as you've learned already, right? The doc type, right? The root, right? Inside. So this, again, this is for you to walk through, read, and understand and produce. Now, once you get this step done, then you do this commit with your topic of whatever your site is. So project colon, so this is your commit message, right? Your required commit. Then you're going to come back into your body. You're going to add you're going to add the body, the header, the main, and the footer. Okay, header, main, and footer. Then do another commit. And now we're only working with one page, even though you created 2 pages of content. You're only going to be creating one. You're going to apply H1 to your main heading, create a section, right, where that makes sense, and then add P tags for there. And then you must remember only have one HTML on there. So then here's your next commit message. So how many commit messages do we have so far? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have 3 commits so far. Okay, and I'm just here, right? So now look at your lit, right? Remember, part of what you were looking for in your research was a list, which, by the way, if you want to change it from attendance till now, you can. Um, but below your paragraphs, but still within the main, right? Either ordered, right? Ordered or unordered. So bullets or numbers. So unordered, ordered list. Okay, and then make sure each one of them has an LI. Okay, so then project section added, and then so another one, right? So another commit. So now footer, do your footer, include all the things and where it goes, and then do another commit. So once you work through all that, if you look at it and you need to go back and change, that's fine. If you want to update something, give it project and then tell me what it was you changed if you've noticed something after you completely got through. Okay, so that's generally how it goes. If you have a few more commits, I'm fine. It's when you don't have enough that it gets to be an issue because I grade on commits. So then what you would do is you would come in here, you do your attempt. So this is where you give me your commit history. Now, I'm going to go into mine. It's going to look different than yours because, I've been playing around and setting everything up. But if I go to my demo and then I go to my project and then I go to my commit history, right? So this is the URL you would give inside of Canvas. Now, the reason, and again, I'm just going to paste it in here so you can see it. The reason I say this is two things. One is so that you see how well you're paying attention to detail. And two is when you're in here, you want to look at the commits that you've done so that you make sure you have all the ones required. So scan through here, make sure you have them all, like look at them, make sure they're there. That way when I grade it, I'm going to look at those, which I'd not just look, did you do the commit, but did the code required for that commit, is it within there? Okay. All right. Hope this helps.